Hi, everyone. I'm Stephen Pivnik, and welcome to another episode of the Great CEO Podcast. With me today, I have Chris Burkhard from My Placers. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, it's great to be here.
So, in a few sentences, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company?
I'd be delighted to. So, I'm a rarity. I'm a fourth generation in a sequence entrepreneur.
Nice.
Uh, I reside in the Mid-Atlantic. If folks, kind of view this from a global perspective, Mid-Atlantic, North America. I reside in Delaware. I'm founder and president of Placers. We're a total talent solutions company, which sounds like consulting speak. Basically, in the world of work and jobs today, things have really changed. The playbook has changed a lot. So we spend a lot of time coaching the workforce on what careers look like today. And we help companies figure out how to make labor flexible. Everybody wants to use a mix of freelance and contract and gig workers. Well, that can be kind of messy. And, we help clean that mess up and help people do it in a compliant way.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So there's a lot of obviously organizations within your space. What is your specific competitive advantage, and like what do you do differently to help you win clients over some of your competitors?
Well, Stephen, I'm in an incredibly transactional business. So my goal is just to be 1 degree different. I don't think it takes much more than that. And I do it through a couple of ways with our operational plan. The first is I'm committed to the idea of solutions or consultative based selling, where typically sales are very transactional. So, that's again, what does that mean? I think there's a lot of knowledge about what's changing in the world of work today, and that reflects very differently. So, some people just put temps out to work, some people are headhunters, some people outsource recruiting. But the idea of being able to mix and match all that stuff in a way to help solve a customer's problem, I still think is an advantage. The other thing is I think I'm really in the knowledge worker business.
Okay.
So, sometimes people want a job done. It's all about delivery. But I've set out a sort of a crazy goal of providing every recruiter, salesperson, branch manager 128 hours of training a year. And I want to produce people that can make better decisions and, aren't afraid to be on the front lines and get it done.
That's great. That seems like it's a great approach. Obviously, it's working for you. So from a constraint perspective, what would you say like your number one source of constraint is? Like if that one thing were to go away, you can grow a lot faster than you're currently growing your business.
The biggest constraint is the perception of the industry that we are very, very commoditized. A lot of companies treat us akin to going to see your tax accountant only on April 15th. So we're brought in last minute. We're brought in after strategy has been well baked. So to be able to influence at the right time on labor and people strategies, be able to do that, I think our jobs would be easier, our failure rate would be less,
Sure.
our friction would be less.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. So you personally as a CEO, how many hours a week do you put in, and how do you personally split your time?
Well, I got to tell you, 20 years founder CEO at this point. So your question is a great one because the evolution has changed. In my first 10 years, I
Definitely
would
has.
very proudly told you that I work 90 hours a week,
Sure.
because my belief is I was creating market share by working hard.
Sure.
I
Like every founder, the blood,
like
sweat, and
every
tears,
stupid
all day, every
founder,
day.
right?
Yeah.
Like what was I thinking? And then I think I found that you couldn't pour from an empty cup. So now like most of us, I've got to eat right. I've got to have a morning routine. I've got to do yoga and work out. I got to have a trainer. So I work about 50 to 55 hours, very planned. I am blessed to spend 8 to 10 of it doing creative things like this, writing, putting out thought leadership. And that really keeps the tank full for me. But
Sure.
I have really had to find balance. I could work all the time like you could, but that's where I'm finding a sweet spot between quality of work and just working for the sake of it.
Great. I totally agree. And we should compare our yoga channels in the morning because I'm a big fan of yoga as well in the morning as much as I can.
I'm a Berkram guy. Give me 26 moves in a row to do, let me get into that groove. So I get it.
Yeah, I'm a yoga with Adrian guy.
Oh,
She's got a great
so I
YouTube
do
channel. Love it.
love Adrian, and I think we're talking Peloton. Is that correct there? Because
No,
my
she just has her own YouTube channel outside of Peloton.
my wife invites me to Adrian. I wasn't sure of the source, but probably once a week I'm doing one of those classes. So that's
No,
interesting.
she's fantastic, and I'm happy to give her a shout out. She deserves it.
I agree
So
with you.
yeah, so we find that a lot of CEOs have a hard time delegating. Sometimes that a lot of CEOs they have a mentality of if it's got to be done right, I've got to do it myself. So can you name a couple of things that in the last 6 months or so that you've done a good job of delegating to others?
Well, I'm a reformed leader who could not delegate, right? So I've learned that checklists and strategies and process and those things are relevant so that things can last beyond the life of a leader. So I've promoted a COO, pretty big deal,
Nice.
taking a significant list of operational responsibilities. And that is a ripple effect, just so many tests
Of
that,
course. Yeah.
and that's a big deal, uh, especially in the sense that it was very clear that I was the friction, I was the challenge, and hopefully this really frees us up.
No, kudos to you for recognizing that because a lot of CEOs have a hard time doing that. But I have a lot of examples of, when CEOs finally bring in that COO, so many things get lifted, from their plate, and they're really able to be, much more strategic about their role and the company.
Yeah, and you're well read. You do this for a living. What I realized is how hard it is to pick the right number two, if you will allow.
Oh yeah, very
And
hard, very hard.
we have a very long-standing relationship. Her name's Lisa Turner. She deserves the shout out. She's very complimentary to me, and I think I've read that the relationship and the way we work is very conducive to having success.
Sure.
So I'm counting on versus some external hire where they last 9 months and
Nope.
you're starting
I
over.
totally agree. A lot easier said than done, but when you find that right person, it's like, wow, where has he or she been all my life?
We're at the WO. I can't quite add the last W yet, but we're getting there.
But you're getting close.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, cool. So, what would you say like the one or two things are that you've learned about the CEO role that are central to you and unique to you?
So I was taught a simple 3 words: see, think, and act. The whole world comes at us with CEOs with problems, and they just really want to act. They just want to make the pain go away. They just want to solve the problem. I've really been taught to ask questions to make sure people really know what they're trying to do. And it's been my experience that most times people are trying to solve maybe something that isn't exactly defined. So
Sure.
I spend a lot of time, what I would call backing things up, getting people to really frame the right problem.
Hmm.
The second thing is, I find that a lot of people, there's a lot of talk of culture, a lot of talk of people culture and company culture. And I find that a lot of people don't know who they are. So I'm committed to helping leaders know who they are because I think shiny objects, business opportunities, problems, new ideas come at us all the time. And when that happens, when you don't know who you are, I think you waste a lot of energy and chase a lot of things.
Sure.
So try to try to create some alignment around that for everyone around me.
Great. I'm sure everybody around you benefits from that. That's awesome. So, outside of work, what do you do? What are some of your hobbies? What do you do for fun?
I read a lot of books. We have a book club, probably read a book a week.
Wow.
Uh, so it's just a thing, like something I love to do. I think the nature is very healing. I'm a huge Yvon Chouinard fan from Patagonia, from a leader perspective and the way he practices stewardship. But he had a group of friends in the early days called the Misfits, and they would go climb Yosemite and stuff. So I have a bunch of old guys from 55 to 75 where twice a year we go backpack something cool.
Oh, that's
And
fantastic.
so that's a big thing. And in the spirit of things, I write in podcast a lot on my Outside Insights platform, if you don't mind that little plug, but I
Totally
like
fine.
to help. My whole goal, I learned a lot of lessons. I made a lot of mistakes. I hate to see people have drama,
Sure.
especially entrepreneurs. So that's like my pandemic thing. Like maybe at the end of the day, if I could just answer the question, did I do anything right? Did I do good in the world? Then that's good enough for me.
Sure. That's awesome. That's great. Well, Chris, thank you very much for joining me on this podcast today. It's been great speaking with you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Take care.